Yeah, interesting trade going down in the NFL right as we're getting closer to the official start of free agency. Now, there's been a lot of moves made, so I got live streams coming up to talk about them, but there's one particular quarterback trade I want to talk about.
Fasten your seatbelts for the realest Eagles and Sixers YouTuber! One who plays no clickbait and gets to the point! The myth, the legend, Nicky Steves! Come to my channel, you know the deal, yo boy, always keeps things real. I'm simply statue think they slate, dropping unrealistic man, 2K takes for the clip. Even though cats like that get views closer to the milli, never hear me preach, look on to Philly. Before you watch the Eagles all the way through the early 22, authentic talk, forget what others do. Come to my channel, you know the deal, yo boy, always keeps things real. The 24/7, 365 way, sports content for the reals that feel the day.
Seattle Seahawks, after last season, decided, hey, they're fully committed to a rebuild, man. They realized, hey, Geno Smith had a nice Cinderella story in 2022. They won 9 games, made the playoffs as the 7th seed, but hey, they made the playoffs and exceeded expectations with 9 wins, and Geno Smith statistically shined in that offense. Threw 30 touchdown passes, over 4,000 passing yards. Now, it wasn't enough to do anything spectacular, but it got him to the playoffs and earned Geno a Pro Bowl nod, so his career wasn't a complete waste. And Pete Carroll was the head coach for the Seahawks when that happened. A few years later, Geno Smith, he realized, okay, it was a nice Cinderella story, but hey, usually those Cinderella stories of late quarterbacks blooming, usually they only are short term. And that's what happened with Geno Smith. Last year, you saw 21 TDs to 11 interceptions. Seahawks, despite winning 9 games, realized, hey, they need a long-term answer at quarterback, and Geno Smith wasn't it. So they're full in. They found a trade partner that was willing to take Geno Smith. That was the Las Vegas Raiders with head coach Pete Carroll. And now from the Raiders' perspective, I get it. You're in a deep rebuild. Geno Smith shined his best with Pete Carroll as his head coach. He fit well with Seattle. He finally found his fit and had a good year. I get it. I get for Pete Carroll, you have a quarterback you're familiar with. Now, here's the question. Are the Raiders still going to draft the quarterback? Or are they bringing in Geno Smith to help with the transition for their future quarterback? Or is Pete Carroll bringing in Geno Smith hoping to recreate the magic of that 2022 season? They're still going to have to wait and see on that part ultimately. But if you're looking at this from just now, if Pete Carroll is trying to bring in another quarterback and bring in Geno Smith to be a mentor, that could work in the long term. But if you're bringing in Geno Smith to try to recreate the magic, that's not going to work because, number one, you're talking about a Seattle Seahawks team that had more structure, more depth in their roster at the time. Even though we thought at the time they were going to take a big step back without Russell Wilson going into that 2022 season, they still had a solid roster and still had a structure in place that the players were used to because Pete Carroll had been there a while, had a lot of seniority. Whereas now, Pete Carroll's just starting off with the Raiders. They're in a full-blown rebuild, and they're rebooting everything. The Raiders don't have that same structure. So if you're bringing in Geno Smith to recreate the magic, that to me, I don't think that's going to work out because the Raiders, you don't have as much depth with your roster as that 2022 Seahawks team did. You don't have the same structure in place. You're in a massive transition in leadership. I don't think it's going to work the same. But if you're bringing in Geno Smith as more of a mentor, this could help out in the long haul. Like, we could take a look at that 1 year Kurt Warner was with the Giants, how that helped Eli Manning as a historical example. Or some other historical examples you could look to. You could say, look at how, say, maybe you had a guy like Tyrod Taylor helping out Justin Herbert. Taylor was a respected quarterback, but not the true long-term answer. Him being on that roster for the Chargers did play some role in helping Justin Herbert during his rookie year, just being there as a mentor. So sometimes that can work out for you, having that respected quarterback there as a bit of a mentor. So I could see if that's the direction they're going. That we'll still wait and see where the Raiders go. Now, for the Seahawks perspective, I was just checking out. There was a car outside for a second, but yeah, but back to the Seahawks now. They know they need a long-term answer at quarterback. They're cutting ties with Geno Smith because they know he's not the guy. Now, will they find that answer? That remains to be determined, because you still got to see, well, who are they going to get? And if so, will it be the right guy? So the Seahawks, we don't. That's going to be interesting. But you obviously know they're going to look for a guy long term. I mean, they have 4 picks in the top 100 in this upcoming NFL draft. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens. But now the question is, well, who would the Seahawks draft? Do they go and get that quarterback early? And if so, do they get the right guy? That's going to be the interesting question. Currently, where the Seahawks stand, they're 18th in the opening round. That could indicate they're either likely to go for a Jackson Dart or maybe a Shedeur Sanders if he falls to them. Because I think now that you trade away Geno Smith, you got to go quarterback with that first pick. Or even if they trade up from the 18th pick, they got to go quarterback now, I feel. Because that's going to be that's the most important position in the NFL. Like, the biggest mistake the Seahawks could make is to wait and go back a little bit, because now there have been some predictions, Sports Illustrated and all that. They're predicting the Seahawks might go later and get Tyler Schultz from Louisville, which could fall to them later on, not at the 18th pick. I mean, he'll probably still be available, but what I'm saying is there's a possibility he could fall to them in the later rounds, which I don't think that would be a good strategy for the Seahawks. You got to go and get that quarterback with your first pick now. Get that guy for the future. Whether you trade up a few spots to maybe go get a guy like Jackson Dart, or Shedeur Sanders, whatever it is, you got to get that quarterback for the future if you're the Seahawks. So the Seahawks have basically said, hey, we're all in on a rebuild. The Raiders, are they trying to look for a temporary fix? Pete Carroll trying to recreate the magic with a familiar face? Or are they bringing in Geno Smith to be a mentor for their future quarterback? Those are questions that still remain to be answered, because remember, the trade just happened. We still got free agency in the draft before we get a more clear picture as to the direction the Raiders are going with accepting Smith. The Seahawks, we kind of have that idea. They're looking to build for the future. They want their long-term quarterback. But time will determine everything. We'll get a more clear picture of the trade as time goes along. These are just my initial thoughts after it happened. You guys are more than welcome to comment. Give me your initial thoughts on the trade. If you haven't done so, and you make sure to drop a like, show your support for the channel. If you're looking forward to more NFL and NBA related content, make sure to subscribe. Coming next Sunday, the 16th, I got a new show debuting, the 3-Point Blitz. We'll be talking about NFL and NBA related content, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so stay tuned for that. Most of all, enjoy the rest of your day. If you're going to go out this weekend, make sure to do so safely. If you're going to go out and drink, do so responsibly. Have an Uber, Lyft, or a designated sober driver or a taxi. That being said, enjoy the rest of your day. Your boy Nicky Stee signing off. Catch you later.